There are some watches out there that get pushed on people either because they're super hyped, because they're popular right now, or because they're from a brand that people know. Sometimes, though, other people's opinions push a watch on you that really isn't the right watch for you. These are some of the watches I think you shouldn't buy. Let's dive in. Okay, wait, no. I did a video a year back where I said don't buy these watches. In that video, I did say you should always buy what you like and do not listen to me. But I said it way towards the end and I probably should have done it faster. I'm going to say it now. Buy what you like, don't listen to me. This is just hopefully a fun and different way of looking at some of the watches that are out there. And now we can dive in. The Omega Speedmaster is an iconic watch. It's been on the moon, but more importantly, it's a watch that hasn't changed a lot in its design since its inception, simply because experts agree that this is one of the best chronograph designs ever made. And I would tend to agree. But it's got one problem, and I've heard it a lot of times. Enthusiasts really push this watch on new watch owners. And I've seen it happen. Some random dude looking for a good chronograph asks his watch nerd friend, "What's a good watch?" And you know what happens? They get a 3-hour lecture about the moon landing and Hesselite and Bolivar and Lemania movements and the 3861 movement and how this watch is a watch every watch lover should own at some point in time. And I see it so often how that pure, innocent person that just asked a question regrets having asked the question. They glaze over and get tired of this meandering sales pitch for a relatively plain black sports watch that costs $8,000. Buy it if you like it, but if that speech just doesn't resonate with you, then don't give in to your watch nerd friend. For similar money, I've seen a lot of people be really happy with Pilot chronos instead. For less, a lot of people gravitate towards the Tissot PR516 or the Longines Conquest chrono or even a Tudor chrono. Now, you maybe shouldn't buy some types of watches, but if you're enjoying this content, you should definitely consider subscribing. The button is right there, and if you feel the content warrants it, then move your finger or your cursor over to the button and click subscribe. Thanks a ton. Don't buy anything Rolex. I know, sweeping statement, but there's a specific context for this statement that's important. 31.2% of all Swiss watches sold in the world are Rolexes. They sell more than 1 million watches every year. I was down at the local booker the other day talking to one of the reps, and he complained a little about his job because 90% of his job is showing people the way to the Rolex section. He can't drag people to Cartier or Moser or the IWC area. People just make a beeline for Rolex and they leave straight from there, maybe with a detour to Tudor, but that's it. If you like Rolex, you like Rolex. But if you're new to watches, before you just dump your money on any Rolex, go to an Omega store and talk to them. That's all I ask. Talk to an Omega sales rep. Let them show you some stuff. Go to an IWC dealer and let them show you some stuff. Just defer your decision about Rolex until you've looked at something else. Don't mindlessly walk over to Rolex. Expose yourself to something else. And importantly, expose yourself to something else before you get told that there's a waiting list for everything because all other brands will feel like compromises after that point. If you do it before, you're more likely to appreciate the Aquaterra or the Mark 20 or the Cartier Santos. Just try. This is a simple one. I have terrifically sized wrists and I own a Cartier Santos in medium. Don't buy the large. And I know, you're a man, you're manly. You split logs into firewood with your bare hands. There's a reason condom brands only make large, extra large, and super large. No real man would ever buy a medium. But here, the Santos. For most wrists, the medium is better. The large is 39.8 millimeters across, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is a square watch. This watch wears closer to something like a big Pilot 43 millimeter or a 42 millimeter Yachtmaster. The medium is just objectively better for a lot of men's wrists. Ignore that it's called medium. Plus, it also looks better because it has no date window. Just give it a try. To this day, the Hublot Classic Fusion is still one of the world's most overpriced watches. It's over $8,000 for a titanium watch with a Salita movement inside. It's the pinnacle of a rip-off from a component perspective. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that movement. It's a workhorse movement, but you can get that exact movement to the millimeter in a $1,500 Christopher Ward. But then what should you get? Get this, the Zenith Defy Skyline. It's $9,000, but you get a fully steel integrated bracelet. You also get a vastly superior spect and finished El Primero base movement, which sweeps at 5 Hz and has 60 hours of power reserve. And it's in the Zenith Hublot line of baller watches. It's marketed and positioned almost identically with the Classic Fusion, and it's aimed pretty much at the exact same type of customer. It's a better watch in every way for only $1,000 or so more. I think I've probably said this before, but it can take a repeating. Be careful with funky colors. I think they're becoming trendy right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good long-term buy. There's a reason black, navy blue, and sometimes white are the most popular dial colors. Most people want a watch that works in a lot of situations, and this one might be a little bit too punchy if you're looking for something versatile. If it's your only watch, then it very much is more of a statement piece compared to any black dial Speedmaster, Daytona, Zenith, or IWC. You have to be sure you're going to enjoy having that color on your wrist every single day, because that should be the driving point or piece of your decision. This is more of a hard no compared to the others. Generally, don't buy a fashion watch, and especially not a Gucci. This is for the enthusiasts. And I think I've got what is some solid reasoning. Go back 20-ish years and Gucci and Louis Vuitton were positioned more or less the same. I couldn't go outside the door without bumping into people with monogram belts and bags and shoes and caps and visible underwear from Louis and Gucci. It was this aspirational, low-end, high-end luxury product that everybody kind of had. But since then, things have really changed. Gucci is largely accepted to have been mismanaged. They're stuck with these low-end customers, and their products, including their watches, are for the most part of not a particularly high quality, and they are nowhere near as desirable as you would expect from a brand with a history like Gucci. But Louis Vuitton, they have real watches. There's the tambour specifically. It's got a high-end stunning movement. It's an impeccably put together watch, and I wouldn't pay the extra for, the diamond encrusted platinum model. But the ceramic brown or some of the other models, these are really cool watches. I doubt they are models that are going to hold their value, but they're real watches. Get that instead of some random entry Gucci. I mean, if you can afford it, that is. This one's a little bit more complicated. I love the Seamaster. I like the helium escape valve. A while ago, I compared the helium escape valve to the wart on a witch's face, but I was wrong. It's the mole on Cindy Crawford's face. It's that one imperfection that actually makes close to perfection. The no-date version is cool, but it's still got the terrible mesh bracelet, and it's more expensive than a date version, which is just odd. But the one I don't want you to buy, not yet at least, is the bronze gold version. There's two reasons. It's $26,000 depending on where you live, which is not a lot cheaper than the full gold model. But it only has 35% gold, and bronze is not an expensive material. Now, gold watches are generally a terrible value proposition, but here you're paying, relatively speaking, a lot more for this gold. And I'm not a metallurgist, and maybe it's super expensive to make this alloy. It could be the case, but my gut says that this is probably a profit monster for them. I still wouldn't buy it yet, despite it looking quite cool. Why? Because Omega states that it shouldn't patina in the same way as regular bronze. I actually quite like the look of bronze until they patina, but I don't like patina at all. Little digression, but I feel the same way about something called aniline leather. When you buy really, really good leather furniture, you typically get it with aniline leather. The Arne Jacobsen egg in premium aniline leather costs over $20,000 for a chair. Now, aniline leather patinas in a very unique way, and I just don't like it. To the extent that if I were to get a chair like this, I would get the version which uses a less premium leather intended for high use areas. It won't get the patina which everybody raves about, but it will look new for longer. So until I know specifically over time, I've seen use cases of people I know who have bronze gold watches, I would wait to see how gold bronze patinas. I know it's not going to turn completely green, but I would wait until I know what it's going to look like so I can have an opinion on that patina and whether or not I like that kind of patina. Don't buy a watch as an investment. This should be common knowledge by now, but we are way past the corona phase insanity where even a Gérard Perregaux was going over retail. Now, the vast majority of watches are not going over retail, and over time they are not going to appreciate in value. Some brands and some select models may depreciate a lot less than others, but it's an infinitesimal number of watch models that meaningfully appreciate. And most of those are in a price range where most of us don't even play anyway. So forget about the investment mindset. Buy it because you like it and no other reason. Last one, and I'm going to try and get this completely right. Don't not buy the watch we tell you not to buy. So Andrew Morgan did a video where he said, don't buy a Panerai, a Rolex, a Cartier, or a Speedmaster. Jenny L said no to smartwatches, bad micro brands, vintage, fashion brands, and homages. Teddy says no to fakes. I completely agree with him on that one. That's the one you should definitely listen to. But hype watches, fashion watches, the compromise watch. Okay, the compromise watch, but fashion watches, I mean, you can go for it. I think earlier I said you shouldn't, but really, if you like a fashion watch, buy a fashion watch. Hype watches, fine, go for it. I've also made a video myself before saying which watches you shouldn't buy. The point is, consider all of this entertainment and more guidelines than rules. Most of all, buy the watch you like. Nothing more, nothing less. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Have a wonderful week. Like, subscribe. Cheers.